And one of the things that the Cancer Council actually supplied me with was this wonderful book about cancer. It was done like in a kind of a cartoon way for kids. And so we'd sat him down the night before I was going to have my first operation and said to him, you know, I told him what was going to happen, I was going to go to hospital, here's a book for you to read about. And he read all about that, and I said, you got any questions, you worried about anything? He said no. And to give us a bit of context, this is the last week of the Christmas term, before Christmas, the last week of school term before Christmas. And he's in year 5, and he's really keen on a little girl called Kim in his class, okay? So I'm putting him, I have to give that context, otherwise the story doesn't make sense. So I'm putting him to bed that night. I'm thinking, I've told him about, I've got cancer, I'm going to the hospital, he's going to be really worried. So I said to him, is there anything that you're really worried about, honey? And he said, yeah. And I thought, oh, here it comes. And I said, well, would you like to talk to me about it a little bit? And he said, yeah, I would actually. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. What's worrying you? And he said, well, I just gave out my Christmas cards the other day, and I gave one to Kim, and I put kiss, kiss, hug, hug on it, and I really probably shouldn't have done that. So I felt pretty good about it at that point, but he wasn't worried about what was going to be happening to me. He was more worried about his girlfriend. But yeah, lucky for me, my cancer was picked up so very early on. I went through treatment, came out the other side. You get to this point where everyone talks about your new normal, and you're not quite sure what they mean, and you're trying to find it. And I think sometimes that part when you stop having all that treatment and stuff is a bit where it kind of really hits you, the whole experience that you've been through. And that's the kind of time when you kind of really need that extra additional sort of emotional support. And I'd also lost a lot of fitness, and you know, there's a whole range of things going on in my life at the time. So I've kind of remembered seeing this flyer for this thing called dragon boat paddling for breast cancer survivors. And I thought, okay, I'll ring up and I'll go along to that. And that basically changed my life, really, I have to say. I think that was like about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and the experiences I've had since then have been, so there have been days when I've actually sort of gone, you know, if I hadn't had this, I wouldn't actually be doing this, and you know, it's been a wonderful sort of experience. What is dragon boating? Well, it's a water sport. We always tell people that when they first come because they splash everybody and they get worried about that, so we always say it's a water sport. You can have 20 or 10 paddlers in a boat. You have a sweep, a steerer, you have a drummer on the front, and you put a boat and when the boat's dressed up for competition, you have a head and a tail on it as well. Why dragon boat paddling for breast cancer survivors? Well, it started up in 1995. There was a Canadian doctor, Dr. Don McKenzie, who basically, all the research at the time was saying, all the medical advice was saying that it was a really bad thing for breast cancer survivors to do upper body exercise particularly, and it would be bad for lymphedema. And he actually said, he was a canoeist, he said, I don't think that that's actually right. I'm going to go out on a limb here and actually say, I think it's actually something that's actually going to be better, and it's going to improve people's quality of life and could actually prevent them from getting lymphedema in the first place, and also help people that have it. And he went out a bit on a limb, started a team over in Canada, and he was right. 20 years later, the research actually proves that he was actually right. Women who go back and do breast cancer, after breast cancer treatment, who go into dragon boat paddling, end up having less chance of actually developing lymphedema, and those that do have lymphedema, it actually helps them actually manage it. So from little things, big things grow. Basically from that, to quote the great Paul Kelly, I'll name him in this one. But it basically took over. Breast cancer paddling took over throughout the whole world. I think there is 225 breast cancer teams across the world in every continent and in 25 countries. It's been going in Australia since 1999. Our club was formed in 1990. We're having our 21st birthday party this year. We were going to have our 20th last year, but 21st is better. There's more decorations for 21st anyway. We're called Dragons Abreast Brisbane. That's our official name, but we are known as Miss a Bit of Titty. Basically because we have a song to go with that, but we won't do that right now. We have a whole hit. We are all clearly missing a bit of titty, so we're basically, because that has our name and it's known throughout the world. The great thing about doing dragon boat paddling is that you get to go away a lot, you get to have fun all over the world, you get to compete at whatever level you want to. We have people like Linda here who are one of our top sports paddlers, who's represented Australia all over the world. She's got some great medals if you want to have a look at it. The rest, there's others of us that compete in breast cancer events that happen. There's one that happens every 4 years, which is a patisserie event just for breast cancer survivors across the world. The last one was in Florence. What a great excuse to go on holidays. I mean, you can tell your whole family, like, sorry, I'm competing, I have to go to Florence. We got to compete on the Arno, like, you know, imagine paddling on the Arno River, like we actually got to do that. 4,000 breast cancer survivors. We walked through, we had a ceremony, we walked through the whole of Florence. We had every country with their flag. It was like being in the Olympics. It's the closest I'll ever get anyway, but it actually was, and it was an absolutely fantastic experience. And those happen every 4 years. The next one's actually in New Zealand in 2023. It was supposed to be 2022, but obviously COVID, as it does, disrupted a few other things. We have paddlers for every age. Yeah? Our youngest paddlers are in their 30s, our oldest are in their 80s. We have active paddlers in their 80s. We call them our OBEs, our over bloody 80s. And they're very, very special to us as a club. You know, you said you can paddle at any level. You can come and be a sports paddler, really commit to it. You can just paddle at different events, or you can just come along on a Saturday and just paddle basically with your whole motivation being breakfast with everybody afterwards. That's what it's really all about. And it's not just about what I think, I'd just like to quote one of our newest paddlers, Betty. She only joined us very recently. She went to her first event, her first actual proper event with us a few weeks back up at Kawana. And Betty said, this was Betty's comment she made on our page afterwards, "I'd like to say thank you to all of you for making me feel so included in your club. I had a blast this weekend and learned so much from this action-packed regatta. I felt so much love and enthusiasm, and I feel like part of this special family of the breast cancer fraternity. Thank you, coaches, for your direction, training and guidance. It means a lot to me. I hope I did you proud with my paddling. See you Saturday." You did us proud, Betty, you really did. Right? So if you want to know more, come and have a chat with any of us. We're all over there wearing our bling, as we do. There's flyers in your bags. And just know that if you know someone out there that they've never done any sport before, that's okay. If they're not feeling particularly fit, that's okay. If they're feeling a bit lost and scared, that's okay. If they want to be surrounded by a bunch of women that get where you're at, but have found their passion and purpose in life again, and if you want a whole group of people you can laugh with, cry with, and share some awesome moments in your life with, we're here for you. And one thing I'd like to just finish with, I'd just like to share one other thing with you. I'm probably gone way over time, but I'm Irish, I can't help it. Once I start talking, I can't stop. It's genetic. I actually did the DNA.
You got plenty of time.
I did, okay. I did the DNA test, and I'm actually 100% Irish. I was really hoping for something a bit different in there, but nothing came back. It explained a lot, though. Also, my family says. Okay, but before I do finish, I'd just like to share one other thing that we do as part of our breast cancer dragon boat, at most of our regattas, and also when we lose somebody that's been part of our team, because that's the sort of the sad part of this sport. There are times when we've had people that we have lost that have gone on to develop secondaries, and unfortunately we have lost to this insidious disease. And one of the things that we do is when that happens is that we have a ceremony called Flowers on the Water. What we do is that we take our boats out on the water and we throw flowers in a ceremony in memory of what we call our angel dragons. And we carry those, we always carry them with us in our boat, always. And I'd like, therefore, to just dedicate this talk today to 3 absolutely awesome women who we lost as a club very recently. I'd like to dedicate it to Claire Turner, to Vicky Spanring and Sharon Hammond. 3 incredible, inspiring women, taken way too soon. And I know if they'd been here today, they would definitely have been sitting around that table with us. They loved a good morning tea and any opportunity to talk about disability. So they're with us in our hearts, and I'd really like to dedicate today to them. Thank you very much.